Kia ora, good morning. I just woke up. I've just had a coffee. I'm about to have another coffee. Um, I'm getting yelled at by the crows, so if you hear them squawking, it's because I haven't made my offering to them yet, and they wait outside. Oh, excuse me. They wait outside the back and call me until I feed them. So just give me a minute. I had the freakiest dream. Cool, kind of freaky, but it kind of made me a little bit scared. It wasn't a nightmare or anything like that, but okay, so first of all, I dreamt I was heavily pregnant. I was about 7, maybe 8 months pregnant, and I was handing out like copies of scripts to people. I couldn't see the people, but I was watching me. I could see me standing there with a big, heavy, pregnant belly, and I was handing out scripts to people, and we were. Oh, the magpies have started. I'm coming. They're spoiled. Can you hear them? I'm getting yelled at by the birds. Um, I was watching me in like the third person sort of thing, and I was handing out scripts to people, and we were talking about this script. And then I was sitting in what I can only imagine was, what I could only guess was Fire's movie theatre. Um, Watching the movie that we just made, where I was handing out the script. And it was about an alien invasion. The only way I can describe it, you're going to have to use your imagination. Think Gears of War, think Starship Troopers, think Independence Day, think Tom Cruise's War of the Worlds. Um, think Gears of War. Gears of War, Starship Troopers, Tom Cruise's War of the Worlds, and Independence Day. And it basically started with this family. It looked like they were camping by like a lake or something, and it was nighttime, and they were sitting outside their tent with, the campfire and everything. They were, the dad was telling stories, and it was like, ooh, and then they see these lights. It looked like, they're like, look at that, is that shooting stars? Is that a comet? Is that a meteorite? Is that a blah? And the lights come, and they see the craft sort of come in, the trees behind them, and land. And then, of course, they're like, the dad and the oldest son are like, stay here, we're going to go and see what it is, and, something's crashed and all this sort of thing. And so they're walking through the forest at night, and, like it's dark, and, they see this glowing thing, and then, all these lights are coming in, and or these fireballs or whatever are coming in and crash landing in and around the mountains and stuff of where they're camping. And so they go with their shotguns and all of that, and they're heading to follow, and their torches and that, to see what it is. And then, of course, as they get close enough, the alien pops up, and they get completely annihilated. And, and then it starts with normal family, normal town, nobody's none the wiser kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, poop starts kicking off. And then it's basically how the people of the town, the village, the country, the state, the whatever, start fighting to take the country back against the aliens, fighting against the alien invasion. And it was, District 9 kind of gory. Like it was like, I got a fright. It's I would have been worried if it wasn't for the fact that it was almost like my dream was letting me know, Debbie, this is just a movie. Because otherwise I would have been worried thinking, what the hell? Because you know what my dreams are like. But yeah, it's almost like the dream was saying, like, this is just a movie. But the interesting thing was, it was kind of like it was a movie that was sort of a spin-off from the Quantum Ministry, the conception of Heracles. Like it was dealing with, like maybe, because, you know, they have to, that's a space movie, that's like Star Wars. But, well, no, I'm sitting here thinking about it now because of the ending. It was the ending. I mean, I'm not going to go into the storyline or anything, but it was the ending when the ending of the movie came, when, you know, when everyone took their country back, when they took when everyone took their countries back, like an Independence Day, it was the ending. And like, even in my dream, even though I wrote the script, even though I knew how it was going to end, I was like, oh my God. And I got, like, it gave me goosebumps in my dream. And even now that I'm fully awake and I'm playing it all back in my head, like how I felt with the ending, I've got like this feeling in the pit of my stomach that's rising up to my throat of shock. And then I thought, holy crap, this is brilliant. This is a brilliant movie script. This is a brilliant movie idea. This is brilliant. It was graphic. An alien invasion movie isn't technically one we've done before. The Quantum Menace 3 is they have to, you know, go back in time to undo the conception of Heracles, who was, you know, like a brain in a jar in a mad scientist laboratory. But that's going back in time. That has nothing to do with aliens from other planets and that. It's all like metaphoric. But this was a proper alien invasion movie where they came from outer space and landed on the planet and tried to take everyone over by slaughtering them all. There was blood, there was limbs, there were, you know, like probably, even though I grew up with War of the Worlds, and you know I love it so much that I created The Night of the Black Sun based on the War of the Worlds, my homage. I actually really liked. I'm not a fan of Tom Cruise at all. I'm not a fan of his movies, but I did really like his version of War of the Worlds. I found it quite entertaining. In my mind, it had nothing to do with War of the Worlds, and it was just an alien invasion movie, but I did really like it. But you know, that suspense and that fear, especially when he's in the basement and that one, you know, comes through the basement and can smell him out, can sense him sort of thing, and he's trying not to move, and it was all that sort of thing. Don't move. You know, like Predator. Loved Predator. I mean, who doesn't love Predator? The Predator and, like, you know, Aliens and all that. It was that kind of suspenseful, sort of like don't breathe, don't move, highly sensitive aliens to smell and sight and taste and movement and all that sort of thing. It was just like that, but it was the ending. I'm my stomach is still in my throat a little, and I wrote the script, and I just as I saw that it could, as the ending was happening, everyone in the theatre went, oh, and it was like I felt it in the pit of my stomach, like, oh my God. And then waking up with that sense of like, oh my God. And being a little bit scared. But because of the movie, not because of, because the movie was District 9. I've only been able to see it once. I've never been able to see it again. It absolutely broke my heart. I couldn't. It's just like Schindler's List and The Green Mile and Dumbo. Seen them once, can never see them again. No, thank you. Like the trauma was just. And I only saw Dumbo about 3 years ago, I think. Well, I only saw Dumbo a few years ago for the first time, and never again. Never seen Bambi. There are some movies I can never see because they were just hard to watch, like affected me, sort of thing. Um, this was this left me with that same feeling in the pit of my stomach. I'll maybe watch it once, and I don't know if I'll be able to watch it again. Enemy Mine is one of my all-time favourite movies in the whole world, with Lou Gossett Jr. and Dennis Quaid. Absolutely adore Enemy Mine. And I mean, who doesn't love Independence Day? Mars Attacks was pretty funny. Independence Day was one of my dad's favourite movies. He watched it like 6 times in one day at my house. When he actually, it was the last movie he watched at my house before he died. We bonded over Independence Day. So alien invasion movies and that are one of the other genres of films that I kind of grew up with. Mars Attacks, It Came from Outer Space, all those sort of ones, and it had that sort of feeling of like seeing the spaceship coming into land, and then like the people being curious and approaching the spaceship, and then the doors opening, and then kablam, it's kind of like Close Encounters of the Third Kind was another movie I grew up with. I adored that movie. I adored that movie. But when you watch it for the first time and the doors open and the alien comes out, you do kind of expect there to be some sort of someone getting blasted with a laser gun and that sort of thing. Well, they weren't blasted with a laser gun, that they were like mauled. It was just like a spray of blood everywhere. And yeah, that sort of Gears of War, but not post-apocalyptic world sort of Gears of War. Now Gears of War. Like if Gears of War was set now, sort of Gears of War. Things coming up under the ground, and I don't know how we're going to film it with, the tremors, with things coming up under the ground. Like, how like in Gears of War and tremors and that, they come up from under the ground. I don't know how we're going to film it. It might be... Do you know, I'm sitting here thinking of the budget, the movie budget. This is one of those movies that I think the script for it is so good, I'd want to make it pretty quick. Like there's some movies that I've created that I want to make like pretty fast. Like even though the Night of the Black Sun's starting out as a radio musical, I want to make that like quite quick. The Amber Rose, Lucian's Dragon, with a little help from my friends, Night of the Black Sun, and this one especially, and of course The First Sign. There's some movies I've created, it's like I want to get these made ASAP. And so in my head I'm sitting here thinking, this might require a little bit of a budget. Like, I suppose we could pull off the alien, like when the fireballs are falling out of the sky, we could maybe use drones or something. But I'm thinking, how much would it cost to make a false floor to look like it's splitting open so that they can come up from under the ground? I'm literally sitting here trying to work out the budget. How much would that cost? Can we do it cheaply and safely? Like that sort of thing. Because it's like, I have to make this movie. And I'm not one of I'm not one of these people who turn the brethren into monsters, or I'm not one of these people that likes to promote this whole alien invasion, UFOs are real. But it's kind of like it's been sitting with me for a while. I have to do an alien movie. I have to do an alien invasion movie, because my boys and I promised that we had to do all the different genres. And if you're going to do all the different genres, you can't say, oh, no to doing one because you don't believe in the concept, because it is just a movie, right? So I have to do an alien invasion movie. I just was sitting on it for a while because I thought, well, could I pass my version of Star Wars off as an alien movie? And it's like, well, even though it involves going through space and that, it's to travel back in time. So it's not technically an alien movie, even though there will be encounters with aliens in the movie because they are traversing space and that to go through the wormholes and stuff. Technically not an alien movie. So then I'm sitting here thinking, could I make it a spin-off of that? But it doesn't feel right. It doesn't fit. So it's like, okay, so it's not a spin-off. But I have to do an alien invasion movie. If I'm going to sign myself up to do all the genres, one of the genres is an alien invasion movie. Whether I like the concept of aliens invading or not, I've got to do one. I have to do one. Just because I don't believe in it doesn't mean I can't make a movie about it, right? Like, it's not personal, it's just a movie. So it's like, okay, so let's do an alien invasion movie. And I grew up with them. I did grow up with them. Alien movies, I mean. I grew up with, and like Day of the Triffids on the TV. And yeah, it came from outer space. And what was that other one? Was it The Day the Earth Stood Still? I grew up with all of those sort of, yeah. I can still see the dad and the teenage son coming through the clearing and seeing this flaming vessel thing. And then the doors open. And when the doors open, you just see the dad, you see them glowing from the light coming from the craft. And then the look of absolute panic and fear and blood. Just a spray of blood everywhere. And then everyone else at the camp, like moments later, like the mum and the other kids at the camp, like, what the hell was that? Like, oh my God, sort of thing. And then screams in the forest. And then it's like the next day in the town, or later on in the town. And then the news on the radio that lights were seen through the sky, people going missing, like all that sort of thing. And then they start coming into the towns and all hell breaks loose. And then the armies, the military are called in and they're trying to fight, but they're losing, that whole sort of thing, because their technology just isn't enough to fight them because they're so advanced. And then there's that whole Jeff Goldblum, Independence Day, someone figures it out. And when that person figures it out, they're defeated. I'm still sitting here thinking, bloody hell. Bloody hell. Like, oh my God. I have to make this movie. My father would have loved this stuff. He would have eaten this shit right. He would have been just like, this would have been a movie he watched 6 times in one day like he did with Independence Day. The first time he saw Independence Day, I put it on for him. I had it on video. I put it on for him. And he sat there in the morning having his breakfast, watching it, and he was just mouth wide open. And he was like, put it on again. And he just watched it one after the other. I think he watched it like 3 times the first day, 3 times the next day. He watched it like 6 times, all one after the other. And he was like, that was amazing. And then he was dead, like, my dad died like 6 months later, just dropped dead. So this would have been the sort of movie that my father would have eaten up. It was gory like the Predator, like Predator. It was gory like Aliens. It was gory like District 9. Like, they didn't hold back on the graphics, didn't hold back on the gore. I'm sitting here talking about it, and I can still see the cut scene from like what happened at night to this unassuming town where, you know, the kids are getting ready to go to school and the people are getting ready to go to work, and they're opening the stores, and, you know, that unassuming sleepy town. Not small town America. I mean, not small town America. It wasn't like, you know, with a population of a few thousand people. It looked like one of those suburbs off like a larger city, but there was still like maybe a population of about 30,000 people, sort of thing. And the main characters living there, you know, like Independence Day. I can't get it out of my head now, but my stomach's still in my throat from having watched it. It's like these storylines are just dropping hard and fast now. Me being pregnant, I think, is probably just birth of new beginnings, pregnant with ideas, creating new life. So I had to document it. For the most part, it's going to be a lot of fake blood and, you know, prosthetic pieces, so that we can rip the arms off and it looks authentic, and, you know, that sort of thing. It's going to be a lot of, you know, when you think of Aliens with Predator and that, with the body parts hanging from the tree, dripping blood, and, you know, flies and all that sort of thing. Absolutely 100%. I'm just thinking of the part where the ground opens up. But I guess that's up to my special effects guys, eh? It's just so weird that I'm sitting here thinking, is that the sort of thing we can afford in our budget? Oh my God. I've got so many awesome movies and that sitting there waiting to be made now. Oh, it's like, where do we go from here? Bloody hell. So I just had to document it. I need to, my heart rate is starting to come down because I got a fright watching my own alien invasion movie in a dream. And I feel like I've just come out the movie theatre. Like, bloody hell. Everyone was like, bloody hell. Oh my God. So now I have to think, who's the person that's going to figure it out? And am I going to make him or her a cop, a scientist, a doctor, just a normal, average, everyday person, someone who's like a veteran? I could possibly make him a veteran. I could make him a veteran because then it would be really cool if I found someone to play the character who was a real veteran. Because, my Veterans First program, as part of the George Callaghan Trust, I want to offer as many jobs to veterans first. So I could make him a veteran. Like, like Starship Troopers, if he was a veteran of like some sort of, yeah, maybe. Starship Troopers, I absolutely love Starship Troopers. The first one, that was awesome. I love horror movies and blood and guts and far out. I honestly, I feel like I've been knocked back by that dream. Like watching the, they look like shooting stars. That's what the family at the camp was like. Is that a shooting star? Because it was glowing and it had like a trail. No, it's a comet. No, it's a meteorite. And then just being hit with that, like, oh my God. Like I feel like I was pummeled into the ground a little bit. Like I just seeing the dad and the teenage son getting hit, and yeah, it like, and the shock of it kind of like knocked me off my feet. I can't get the scene out of my head of it, coming across the night sky and then just being hit, boom. And it's like I'm sitting here thinking, holy crap, have I realised how many awesome movies that I've come up with? And this isn't a bragging, big head ego thing. It's like I have literally, in my fight for survival, having to deal with everything I've had to deal with, just focusing on the end result, I have come up with some incredible movie ideas that if we get to make them all, I'm going to give people the best movies to watch. Like, they're going to be a glutton. There's going to be like there'll be a glutton for what do we watch now? What should we go and see now? I want people to be like, oh my God, and Fire's got another movie out. We have to go. We've got to go to the movie. We've got to go and see it because my movies aren't like anybody else's, by which I mean I wrote them with the express purpose of making sure that they were a bit different to everything else, because movies are so formulaic now that they're boring and nobody's going to the movies anymore because they're boring. My son was saying him and his brother went to the movies the other day to see some movie about liminal spaces, and he said it was one of the best horrors he'd seen in ages. He thoroughly enjoyed it, but he said that him and his brother were the only people in the movie theatre, and that's sad because either people have just given up on ever thinking they're making good movies again, or people can't afford to go to the movies anymore. Or, but see, in my day, there was a rule that if there were less than 20 people in the movie theatre, they wouldn't play the movie. There had to be over a certain amount of people in order to, recoup costs and that sort of thing. If there was less than a certain amount of people in the movie theatre, they wouldn't play the movie. And that's a sign that they're just not making good movies anymore. They're not doing enough to bring people to the movies anymore. And streaming services are ruining it for everyone. A lot of people say, I'll just wait for it to come out on Netflix or Hulu or whatever. And that's bad. Because there's a whole experience involved in, leaving your house and going to the movies and sitting eating your popcorn and getting your cheap sweets and lollies and candy and that from your supermarket before you go in to hide under your jacket. And going to the movies is a whole experience that you need to experience with the Dolby surround sound, and when the curtains roll back and it all comes up and everything goes dark. It's almost like a basic human right. You have to experience going to the movies. It's something that all little kids remember is when they were taken to the movies, and it's being destroyed because of greed and lack of talent. Nobody's making anything good anymore. It's all just about, getting the franchise and making the toys. Like, they've absolutely raped the crap out of Star Wars. Star Wars no longer has that special feeling to it. Star Wars used to feel like a privilege, and now it just feels like prostitution. And then they make like 16 versions of like Garfield, and they come out with an updated version of this, and okay, so let's remake the movies that were big in the 80s. Remakes and part twos. And do we really need a part two of Goonies? Because, like, I'm scared that they're going to ruin Goonies for me now because they're going to make a part two. Do you know what I mean? There are some movies from the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s and that were so good. Can we not just leave them there? They ruined Ghostbusters. By making Ghostbusters woke, they completely ruined Ghostbusters. That was one of the greatest movies of my generation. They're ruining movies. They've run out of ideas, so they're rehashing old things in that, and then it's ruining the originals. And it's like, can you not just leave them there, please? Leave them alone, leave them. Don't touch them. There should be laws. Don't touch it. And then I've come along and I'm sitting there thinking, I've got this movie, I've got that movie, this movie, that movie, this movie, that movie. We could easily be making 2 movies a year. And if I'm lucky enough, God willing, to be able to open up a couple of schools around the world, then we could be making 4 a year. Or, because that my Jesus takes the wheel dream, he seemed to imply that I get to have at least 2 schools. I don't know if he exactly meant like the locations being Switzerland and wherever, because the way Switzerland's going, I have no interest in building anything there now. Switzerland's let humanity down. But he did seem to imply that I was going to have a couple of schools. So we could very easily be making a couple of movies a year. We could be making 4 movies a year or 2 movies a year, unless I had like a surplus amount budget. And then we could be making like loads. I've also got short films that I had intentions of entering into, film festivals and that sort of thing. And some of them are short enough that we could play them, like before the big movie, like instead of playing commercials and ads and that sort of thing, and playing some of my short films before the actual main film. Because like the Y Woman is probably only maybe 5-6 minutes long. So, oh my God, this is when I wish I had people, because I would love to go to my people and say, I just had another idea for a movie. Let me make us some coffee and put some breakfast on, and we need to sit around the table and talk about this. And I know that when I told them the ending, they'd be like, holy crap, that's brilliant. And I'm very, very particular about my about my alien and space movies. I'm very fussy and pernickety when it comes to my. That Sandra Bullock one was just so boring. Oh my God, I wish I had a person. I'd be like, person, oh my God, let me tell you about this dream I had. We have to make it into a movie. I think I want to make the main character a veteran. I could make him like, I'm sitting here thinking like the unassuming guy. Maybe he's like a mayor or a senator or something, but he's ex-military. And he knows what it is from past experience because he worked in the, like Area 51 sort of thing. When I was in the military, I was out at Area 51, like that sort of thing. I was out at the, I've never told anyone this, but, I was sent to the Antarctic because of the fake underground alien thing that they got going on in Antarctica. So I know what's going on. I can understand, like, I get it. Someone figures it out. The main character figures it out. But he's unassuming guy. Tom Cruise's character, he was just a dad. He was just a guy. And yet he was the one that saved everyone sort of thing. Will Smith's character, he was in the military. So I think I want to like merge the two, where he's unassuming guy, where unless you worked with him in the past, you're not going to know what he used to do. But then it's going to come out, well, actually, before I was a politician, I was in the military. Like, yes, I was a veteran of the Marine Corps or the Army or the Air Force or whatever, but it's who I did the work for. It's what I did. I used to work at Area 51 sort of thing, that sort of thing. Oh my God, you never told me, because it's top secret, it was classified. That sort of thing. Because I can see him as his politician guy, giving it, and this is what's happened, and we don't understand it yet, blah blah. I can't concentrate because I'm getting yelled at by the crows. this is the situation that we have it so far, and we've got it under control. The military have called in, they're working with the police and the this and the that and the, you know, oh my God, look, I'm going to have to go because they're not going to stop until I feed them. Every morning they sit at my back now and yell for their breakfast. So yeah, this is when I wish I had a person. I need someone desperately in my life that I can bounce my stories and ideas off. I'm just sitting here realizing how many incredible movies I've come up with. Make movies like how it was back in the old days. When you knew that, when you knew DreamWorks or Pixar or whoever had made another movie, you knew it was going to be good. You didn't even question it, you just went to the movies and watched it. That's going to be fire. That's going to be Fairyland. Fairyland's made another movie. Oh my God. When's it out? Thursday, right? I'm shifting things about like that's what I need. Holy crap, right, so I'm going to go and feed these birds before they start kicking my window in. Um, oh, I wish I had, this is when I need to be able to, this is what I'm saying about in a relationship. I need to be with a man who is like obsessed with my ideas so that I can wake up and say, I'm going to make a coffee and tell you about this dream I had. And then we sit and discuss it. And then I'm like, what do you reckon? And then get feedback from him. And then maybe he can add bits. Well, what if you make it this and you do it like this and blah, blah, blah. And then we're like, oh my God, brilliant. So then I can sit and type it out and then message him and say, okay, so this is what I've written. What, someone I can bounce my ideas off. I need a man in my life who is up for me bouncing ideas off him. Who's like, yep, come on, let's do it. That's what I need. Someone who's excited about the movies and stories and TV shows and games and that I write. Because he would be the first one that got to know everything. I'd be telling him before I even, told my writing stuff. He'd be the first one to know every idea that I was coming up with. It's just that I've never had anyone interested enough in movies and entertainment and that to want to be. They're never interested. When I, with potentials and options and that, you send them links and that, they'd never click on them. I'd always watch to see if I send you links, if you're going to click on them, if you're going to ask questions about, this, that, and the other. All I've had is people stealing my ideas for their social media or, to make money off it. But if I have a person in the bed beside me, then I can wake up and tell him first, and I know that if he's in the bed beside me, it means I trust him enough that he's not going to nick my ideas and he actually wants to be a part of what it is I'm creating, and that's what I want in a relationship. I want to be with someone who wants to be a part of what I'm creating. He's creative and imaginative too. And even if he's like a builder or he works for the council or he's a whatever, a cop or whatever, I don't, he loves what I create. I want to meet someone who loves my creative side because he gets to enjoy it all, watching it unfold. Even if he doesn't want to do voices or be an actor or be in any of it, just being by my side on my teeny tiny little red carpet events and all of that with pride. Because he knows why I'm doing it. Because my end goal is those safe houses. And if I'm getting another game out and another TV show made and another movie made, then it means that we're one step closer to building another safe house. Because I want to have safe houses in as many places as I can. everything I create is for the end goal of having a safe house somewhere for these children. Because until we can round up all the pedophiles and traffickers and groomers, we're always going to need safe houses for these kids. And it's not just, like I want to take in like runaways in that as well. Children in the foster system who are being abused, who have nowhere to go. Like I want to take in all children who need a safe house. But my inspiration was because of the Border Patrol agents and the stories they were telling me when I was working with them, dealing with their PTSD and all that. They had to have somewhere to go, and it was the Border Patrol agents that helped me come up with the idea of I need to build safe houses. So, but it's like our motto is like we turn no child away. No child gets turned away. If a kid turns up at our doorstep of the safe house at 3 a.m, I need help, I'm being abused. Please don't send me home. We're not going to turn them away. I'll have lawyers and that there to make sure that everything gets investigated before we hand them back over to Child Protective Services and the police. And there being an understanding with the local government and that if these kids turn up, you can't just come and take them away. That if they claim they're being abused or neglected, our lawyers and, my veterans who were former cops and all of that, they'll do the investigations to check the kids' stories out. And if it turns out there is evidence of abuse and all that sort of thing, we get to keep them. They have to be in agreement with the fact that these children will not be taken from us until it's proven otherwise, that they're making it all up or whatever. So, yeah. So I need to be with someone who's like, I'm proud of her because I know why she's doing it. And he might want to have nothing to do with, because like ideally I would love to be with someone who wanted to, like, do a voice, be a voice, or dress up in character for Halloween, to do a fun thing with me for the kids. Someone who wanted to be involved with what I'm doing, but if he couldn't because of his job, or it wasn't really his thing to want to dress up as the headless horseman when I'm the corpse bride sort of thing, then just be proud enough that my woman wrote that and I get to be on her arm when we walk the teeny tiny little red carpet to the to the northies that we make up. Be a part of my little corner of the world, who's happy to be a part of my little corner of the world. And right now is just waking up with this dream. It's made me realise like I've got no one to turn to on their side of the bed and say, you're not going to believe the dream I just had. I have to make this into a movie. Tell him the story and then be like, have him say, right, come on, let's do it. Write the script out. You know what to do, let's do it. If he was into construction and stuff, because I'd love to bounce. How could we make a fake floor? How could we make it look like they're coming up from under the ground? Oh, that's easy. We could just do this and that, and that sort of thing. But I'm not. I'm just sitting here looking at my Womble plushie and my Cyberman mask and my Chewbacca that goes when you press his tummy. That's what I've got on my side of the bed. On the other side of the bed, my toys, my Womble's toy, my Cyberman helmet, my Chewbacca toy, my abuela, little plushy turtle, sea turtle. Anyway, one day, so I'm going to go and feed these birds before they smash my window and start taking the food themselves. I will speak to you later. Ka kite.